Tonight we're driving the 2022 Honda Civic Hatchback. It has the 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and the CVT. Earlier this week we posted a review on the 6-speed manual, and I've got to say, as a daily driver, as a do-it-all, this new Civic Hatchback is one of the best new cars on sale today. I've really enjoyed my time in it this week, and I wanted to give you guys a POV night drive to kind of wrap up and sum up my thoughts on what it's been like to live with this thing this week. We'll do a Bose sound system test. Listen to that. It's very similar to how the sedan sounds. Ton of space in the back of this thing. Got a neat little cargo cover right here, just like in the previous 10th generation Civic. Compact spare tire. Again, you can see this interior a lot better on the day drive with the 6-speed manual. Super spacious back seat. Almost accord levels of back seat room in this Civic Hatch. And almost accord levels of refinement from this thing. This car really does drive well. And I actually like the interior a little bit better than the Accord. The new buttons, the switchgear, the work that Honda's put into this car to make it a little bit more of a simple, minimalist experience behind the wheel has really paid off. This has been a fantastic car to drive all week. Very few complaints. Really one of my only gripes, that's fun, is that it takes the infotainment a little bit to boot up. But once it does, it's pretty quick and responsive. This has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All said and done, it takes everything about maybe 30 seconds to kind of recognize your mobile device, get into Apple CarPlay, set a destination if you're using navigation. Sometimes it's more time, sometimes it's a little bit less. That actually wasn't too bad. But we have a lot of physical controls and nice buttons to touch and use in the Civic. Gone are the haptic feedback nonsense controls. We have volume knobs, a physical track selection button. Even though this is a touchscreen, we actually have physical home buttons, back buttons on it, on the side. The positioning of the screen is really nice too. It's right next to the driver's hands on the steering wheel. We've got very nice knobs. All the touch points in here are really cool. These dials for climate control even feel really nice to use. We have a shifter that is angled toward the driver. Nice looking reverse camera too. And then for night driving, a very easy dimmer switch right next to the wheel where you need it. Not hidden in the infotainment like what Volkswagen is doing these days. I like it. Super easy to use this car. You can get in, know exactly what to do. Let's take it on the road and show you what it's like behind the wheel. I'm a little bit torn on what I prefer in this new Civic. The manual is definitely a pleasant surprise, though it still has a bit too much rev hang. That, though, can be fixed with the aftermarket, and besides that, it's a really nice transmission. I like the shift feel. It drives well. It's a good first manual transmission. And if you want a manual, I would definitely get the manual. That said, though, the CVT is just about perfection as far as CVTs go. It drives so well. It's so smooth, so linear. It is about as close as it gets to an EV level of smoothness and refinement in a internal combustion engine car. Pretty quiet too. It works very well with this turbo 1.5 liter. 180 horsepower, goes a long way. It feels pretty quick, pretty powerful too. And it's reasonably fuel efficient. 27 miles to the gallon in the city and 38 on the highway or thereabouts. This hatchback is just a little bit sharper, a little bit tauter, slightly stiffer rear suspension from the sedan, and it feels like it's a little bit more sporty to drive, though it still retains a good amount of ride handling balance, and it still has nice ride quality. It still has the same wheelbase as the sedan, but it's about 5 inches shorter on the rear end of rear overhang. I like that because it's easier to park in city environments, fits in the garage a little bit better, and you get the practicality and versatility of a hatchback. And another improvement on this hatch is that it is a little bit quieter over bumps. Honda went with a Continental tire instead of a Goodyear with this hatch, and they added a little bit of sound insulation, and that has vastly improved NVH over potholes and larger impact. Whereas the Civic sedan was a little bit too loud, a little bit too crashy for my tastes. This is a nice middle ground. It's still not the quietest cabin. It's not Mazda CX-30 levels of refinement in here, but it's pretty good, and I think it's quite livable for what it is. That is definitely one area where Honda could improve the Civic in the future, is just adding a little bit more sound insulation to quiet down the cabin in this car. Love this powertrain. This 1.5 turbo has plenty of get up and go. The Honda sensing systems work quite well too. All the buttons and controls fall to hand very easily. The lane keep works really well on the highway. And the radar cruise does a nice job also. You can easily change your following distances with a button down here. It's a nice set it and kind of maintain your speed system. Work really well on road trips. You can easily cancel everything. I love how easy it all is to control. None of the settings in this car are hidden deep within menus. I love that about this new Civic. It's just so user-friendly. We have a few different drive modes: Sport, Normal, and Eco. And it almost sounds like Gran Turismo selection when you're sifting through the menus, which is kind of cool. Sport mode will keep the revs above 2,000 RPM, I think, or 2,500 RPM. We have auto high beams. Got a little taste of that back there. Super sharp handling. This is a promising car in terms of its chassis and performance for more sporty variants. I'm really excited to see what the Civic Si and Civic Type R handle like. This hatchback is a really nice front-wheel drive chassis. It's really well tuned. The front end is super sharp. There's not a lot of understeer, if any. You will be hard-pressed to approach the limits of this car on the street, and that's a pretty high compliment for just a sub $30,000 hatchback. I think that kind of sums up my thoughts on the Civic Hatch. I really do like this car a lot. I think if I were looking at a daily driver or just a do-it-all commuter car that's reasonably priced, comfortable, well-equipped, safe, efficient, cheap to run, this would probably be my top pick. This and the Mazda offerings are really compelling choices. I love the space and the amount of interior volume in the Civic Hatch. Pretty much class leading. Let's do a quick sound system test with this Bose audio. We did test this in the sedan in that video and review, but let's do another refresher here. The clarity in this system is probably the most impressive thing about it. Look at this mechanical grip. Just amazing. Effortless. I like how the dimmer adjusts the brightness of everything, including the infotainment screen. One complaint that I do have about the lane keep assist is it does prompt you a little bit too often to put your hands on the wheel, even though your hands are already on the wheel. For that reason, I've been mostly leaving it off with most of my driving, but it is nice to be able to quickly enable it if you need to reach in or change a track or something on the infotainment. really impressive Bose audio system. I think it's slightly better than the Mazda CX-30s. The only advantage to CX-30 is that it has a little bit less interior noise. I think this Civic, though, adds a couple extra tweeters in the back or over the driver, and that is the improvement over the CX-30 with the Bose center point. So kind of pick your flavor. I would recommend just going to the dealer, listening to these systems for yourself, but you kind of can't go wrong. This is definitely one of the most impressive Bose audio systems that I've heard ever, and in the class, it's, if not the best, if not, it's either the best or maybe it rivals the CX-30, in my opinion. So, guys, that's the new Civic Hatchback. A really impressive car, super recommendable. I think this is definitely one of the nicest new car offerings on the market. It just kind of hits on all the points. Honda's done a really, really stellar job packaging and developing and designing this car. I like the way it looks. It's not offensive. The hatchback is super functional. It's fun to drive. Kind of hits all the marks. And I can't wait to see what the Civic Si, what the Civic Type R are like to drive with this improved platform. It's all good things on the horizon. You kind of pick your flavor and you can't go wrong. I've not driven the base 2-liter naturally aspirated engine in this hatch, but I imagine it's very similar to the sedan. A little bit less power, a little bit less torque. Still, though, a decent powertrain. It's kind of hard to see tonight, but all of your touch points, your materials, surfaces are really nice. This has a very cool vent look to the interior. Really a lot to like with this new Civic hatchback. So I think we're going to wrap things up there. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for more videos on this. We'll try to get some more time in a manual Civic hatch, and in a few weeks we'll be heading out and driving the new SI, which is pretty exciting. Until then, though, hopefully these videos will hold you over, and if you want a new Civic and you can get your hands on one, I'd highly recommend it. It's a great car. Okay, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. If you haven't already, check out my review on the manual hatchback, and I also have videos on the sedan, though in my opinion this hatch is kind of the way to go. It just looks better, a little more fun to drive, better packaging. You throw a mountain bike in the back. Yeah, good stuff from Honda.